Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Yeah, the last time you saw me, I was still here. And we're talking about, or we started the conversation around mental health because I said there was never going to be a good time or the right time for me to open up about mental health, because a lot of you follow me and say, you know, we need to talk about the things that are going on in our minds, in our spirits, in our hearts, and it's about time. So last time I spoke about what things to look out for you to know you might be hitting rock bottom, right? This time I want to talk about triggers. Let me tell you. So the bishop who married me and my husband, Bishop Zach Nirinje, who also went through something really bad recently, and we pray for you. Bishop Zach and I were having a conversation around mental wellness. We actually like to call it mental wellness. And he asked me, once I shared my story about depression and anxiety, he said, I didn't even know you were going through that, Flavia. And he said, okay, but do you know what your trigger is? And I said, yes. And he said, what is it? And I said, validation. I have done the work on myself enough to know what my triggers are for this phase. And I keep saying that because let me tell you, it's an unending journey. You keep learning, relearning, you fall, you get up, you fall, you get up. So for me, for those of you who might be, you know me from YouTube maybe and nowhere else, I started television at 14. I'm 33 for perspective. And I was a teenager, and it wasn't the time of social media, so thank God. So it was a learning for me, because at a young age, when I was supposed to discover my identity, when I was supposed to define myself, I was thrust into the limelight. And so here you are, and everybody's telling you what you are before you find out or define for yourself who you are, right? You're a good girl, you don't do this. I like that you don't do this. I like that you don't party. I like that you don't drink. I like that you... They start to like really hold you up there in the sky. And so for me, all the things that people spoke into my life, I started to mold myself into that girl, into the serious girl who didn't do this, didn't do that, focused on this. I was just trying to please, okay? Because for me, my joy and my identity came from validation. The more people said, you're doing well, well done, good girl, the more I felt centered. And so I figured that my purpose was around people always saying, well done. Like I couldn't tell myself well done. Like it had to come from people. Because again, like I said, at 14, people are telling you, wonderful, good job, you've done it. Hey, I like when you say things like this. So you start to like literally live in a bubble. And so I didn't know how bad it was until like my adult life. And so at campus, after campus, that university, I started to now crave to understand who I was. And then unfortunately for me, now the people around me, I was becoming like them. So you start to just be lost, right? When you lose this group of friends, you lose that part of your character or identity. And so that yearning for me to become somebody other than who they want me to be, or if I make a mistake, everybody comes tumbling down on me, and I don't want that. The validation started to sting, if that's a good word to use. I didn't like it anymore. Now I wanted to live life on my terms, you know. I finally wanted to do what I wanted to do. But then I didn't know what that was because I had never defined my own life. So for me, validation for a long time was my trigger, because for me, that's what gave me joy. When people just clapped, applauded, acknowledged, I felt good because it defined me. When I started to do the work on myself and realize I've hit rock bottom, no one is here, no one is clapping for you, no one is saying sorry, no one is doing... I said, okay, fine. How do I build a life around me where I know my triggers, where I can work on them, where I can start to define myself, be better, so that, other sisters don't have to go through the same thing I did. Or if they're going through the same thing I am, I can help them. So these are the things that I've placed in my life to avoid this trigger. The first thing, and I learned this from YouTube, be for yourself what you're seeking in others. Do you know what I mean? If I called someone's phone, let's say my husband, okay, I'm going to use him as an example. Let's say I called my husband right now and he didn't pick. and maybe I'm an emotional wreck. How could you not pick my call? What do you mean you don't love me? How could you not? Okay, I'm being dramatic, but imagine that was a scenario. What I'm asking from him is, pick my call because I need. Answer that. What do you need? Whatever that is that you need to get when the phone call is answered, give to yourself. Do you see what I mean? Do you need acknowledgement? Acknowledge yourself. Do you need approval? Approve yourself. Do you need loving? Love yourself. So it just says that whatever you're seeking from others, give to yourself first. Because then you know the value of it before you ask somebody else to give it to you. Do you understand what I mean? So I might have used relationships, which might not be useful. But imagine a workspace, imagine family. You understand? You're asking your siblings for attention. Give yourself the attention. Do you know what I mean? Because the more you give yourself these things first, they'll make sense when somebody else gives them to you. So it will lessen your anxiety. It will lessen the chances of you hitting rock bottom, because you're not triggered easily, because you're able to give yourself the time. You're able to give yourself the attention, the focus first before asking from others. So it's the first thing. The second thing, which, some of you are going to say, Flavia, it should have been the first. Prayer. Now, I don't mean religion. I mean a good relationship with God, okay? I mean a deep-rooted relationship in God. You've got to know who God is, and God is Allah. God is, Jehovah, whoever you call him. Just not religion. Please, I'm not preaching for religion. No. Just have a deep-seated relationship with the Creator. Somebody who you believe. If you're an atheist, by the way, okay. Do you understand? But have a deep-rooted relationship with your sense of purpose. I think let me define it that way, without making some of you feel a bit iffy about prayer. But for me, prayer has worked for me. Do you understand? It's given me direction. It reminds me God made me. God has a purpose for me. And because of that, I've got to align in his purpose. Imagine someone doing all the homework for you, doing everything that you need. All you have to do is sit there. That's what God has definitely done for me. And so for me, I'm stepping into the purpose that he has for me. So that has been such a blessing for me. Like I said, whatever you believe in, I'm not coming here to preach to you against who you are and what you feel like, because you're all supposed to walk your own journey, okay? You're supposed to walk your own journey. And if your journey takes you back to God, amazing. The third thing is exposure to people. So I think I hinted on this either in people pleasing, one of those vlogs. The more you expose yourself to people, when you're in that sort of depressive mode, it gets worse for you. Because everybody is coming to you seeking your help, seeking your advice. But I'm a firstborn guy, feel for you. If you're a firstborn, a friend of mine was telling me how she's had to take care of all her siblings and it's draining her, and they don't pay attention, they don't focus. And I'm like, how old are they? Are they like 9, 10? She's like, no, the youngest is 32. I'm like, what? Why are you taking care of them? But it's just innate in us to do that. You expose yourself to being everyone and everything for people, and it drains you. And then the problem is that when you hit rock bottom, when you're at the bottom, unhappy, depressed, and just done, you're going to look back and the same people are not holding their hands for you to get up, and that's going to even throw you off so much. So reduce your exposure to people. Be nice, yes, but don't be don't depend on people to heal you. Don't depend on people to give you that validation like I was speaking about. Don't depend on people, even advice. I think I said this the other day in the vlog. Everything that happens to you, and I'm speaking about myself too. You call your best friend, you call your mom, you call this one, that's me. And I'm telling you right now, it's not helping us. It's not helping us, because that exposes you to more and more things. Because when you're now healed, you step back and you're like, Khaled, no, now Andrew knows my problem. Now Tato knows my problem. Now, it starts to become it even drags you further. So exposure to people should be reduced, because then it will help you. It might be a trigger as well, yeah? I find that for me, structure and planning is such a blessing. It helps me off my triggers. If I've planned my life, I'm less likely to be late. I'm less likely to not have, for example, the right meals at home. I'm less likely not to save money. I won't be wasteful. I'll be on time, I'll be organized. Like if things are going some sort of right, I have less triggers. There's less chances of me yelling. There's less chances of me going out of character. There's less chances of me being wasteful, like I said. So for me, I found that structure and planning helps me, okay? I want to know, what does the week look like? What does the day look like? What does the month look like? What could it possibly look like? It might not go exactly like that, but at least I put contingencies for it to look a certain way, which reduces the triggers that I have. I have plan A, I have plan B, I have plan C. So yeah, things might go wrong, but not that bad. You know, so those are things that have helped me reduce my triggers. I don't know what would help you. I don't know what kind of conversation you want me to have about triggers, but be in the comment section and just tell me how you feel. Do you know your triggers? Can you identify your triggers? The things that knock you off quickly. Like, you know, if people repeatedly do this, just, I want to pull my hair out. I'm just mad. I'm just angry. I'm just pissed. Or even people know them and they use them against you. Like that one. You just say this and they're done. Those are your triggers and you didn't even know that. Yeah. But again, like I said last week, you're not alone. Please reach out to someone to get help, an expert if you can. Me, I'm just sharing from my own experience. I'm not an expert in this. And also just to remind you that when it comes to these conversations of mental health and mental wellness, don't be ashamed to talk about it. Don't be ashamed to say, I hit rock bottom. Even the ones who are shaming you have been there before or are still there. So don't feel like you're alone. Be open, share, and feel free. If nowhere else, at least here. Bye.